Am I a dreamy man because I dream too much?
Yes.
Seeing is Believing, Part 3. Disposable coffee cups littered Alan's desk and filled the trash can in the observatory. Sprinkled amongst them were wrappers from fast food places and the local health food shop. Fast food is convenient, but sometimes you need some real healthy food, especially when you're trying to push your mind to its limits. We had been at it for a whole week already, watching and waiting, keeping a close eye on the observatory on Earth 2, where we knew we were most likely to see our other selves, if we even existed on this other Earth. To be honest, I was beginning to have my doubts, seeing as how, after a whole week, we had only seen janitorial staff and a maintenance man come in and out of the observatory. Giving up isn't an option, though, so we pressed on anyway and consumed obscene amounts of coffee to keep the boredom at bay and our eyes open.
Hey, dude! I'm going out to get some more coffee. You want anything special this time, or just your usual?
Alan asked as he walked towards the door. My stomach grumbled at the thought of plain black coffee again, so I decided to spice things up this time. Actually, you know what? Let's do a caramel macchiato with oat milk this time. I'm getting sick of the plain black coffee with honey. I've had it too many times this week already. Thanks.
Ha! I feel you on that, man. Only the opposite. I'm sick of my usual mocha cappuccino with cinnamon and whipped cream, so this time I'm going for something a bit less sugary. I guess I'll see when I get there. I'll be back in a bit. Holler if you see something though, dude.
I flashed Alan a thumbs up and then swiveled back around to the television as I heard the door clink shut. Before I could stare back at the mysterious other Earth to watch and wait if I could see someone I recognize, or even my other self, if I even existed over there, I heard my iPhone ping and felt it vibrate in my pocket. I pulled out my iPhone and clicked to turn the screen on, and I saw that it was just an email reminder that in 2 weeks the observatory was scheduled to shut down for a weekly routine maintenance and cleanup. Ha! Thank God. This place could use a good cleaning, I thought as I chuckled to myself, seeing the almost overflowing trash can filled with old coffee cups and wrappers. Then, something suddenly clicked for me. Holy cow! How did I not even think of that? I exclaimed out loud to the empty observatory. The whole past week, Alan and I had only been seeing the janitorial staff and a maintenance man coming in and out of the observatory on the other Earth. We wondered why, and even wondered if maybe we were wasting time watching it, if it was possibly shut down for some reason. Technically, yes, it was shut down. Today is Monday now, though, and if their days correspond to ours, and if their maintenance week is only scheduled to last for a week or so like ours is, then that means today is the day we should be seeing more than just the cleaning and maintenance crew coming and going. I shoved my phone back into my pocket and quickly looked back into the viewfinder. Just as everything came back into focus, I saw a car pulling into the parking garage next to the observatory. I gulped loudly as the realization dawned on me. It wasn't just any old car that pulled into the parking garage. It was my car. Well, if that was really my car, then at least we have the same taste in vehicles, I thought to myself and nervously laughed, trying to ease some of my anxiety. After what seemed like an eternity, I saw my other self cross the street toward the observatory, and my breath was immediately taken away. I can't even begin to tell you how it feels to see yourself, but also not yourself. It made my mind feel like tearing itself apart, quite frankly, like it was misfiring and I was hallucinating, or maybe even having a stroke. Despite this strange feeling of discomfort and my understanding of reality shattering into a million little pieces, I could not stop looking. I needed to see every single detail and satisfy all of my curiosities while simultaneously soothing all of my anxieties about witnessing my other self. He, or I suppose I should say I, was dressed nicely in a semi-formal button-up shirt and black tie, with black slacks and dress shoes as he walked across the street toward the observatory. Okay, good. At least he still has the same hairstyle as me. Same 5 o'clock shadow, same build. Dressed a bit nicer than me, though, I thought to myself, analyzing every little detail, and suddenly becoming aware that I was only wearing a t-shirt and jeans. He's basically almost an exact copy of me. Or am I a copy of him? I wonder if he knows about our Earth. What if he knows about me, and he has viewed me before? The thoughts raced through my mind, making my head spin. I need answers! Just as he walked inside the observatory and I lost sight of him, I heard the familiar jingle of Surfin' Bird ringtone I had set for Alan and felt my phone vibrating intermittently in my pocket. It was such an annoying ringtone that never failed to get stuck in my head, but I also couldn't help laughing at it. I used to tease Alan about his surfer lingo all the time, and the lyrics of this song always came to mind, so it seemed fitting. Now I was drifting in thoughts, wondering if there was also another Alan on the other Earth, and if that Alan also talked just like a California surfer dude. Shit! I exclaimed as I shook myself out of my thoughts and answered the phone call before I missed the call.
Took you long enough, dude. Hey, I'm here at the counter and they're saying that they're out of...
I immediately cut Alan off and shouted, Alan! I saw him! I mean me! I saw myself! I heard Alan whisper hurriedly to the barista,
Yeah, almond milk is fine. I just need to go. Keep the change.
Then I heard him respond much louder.
Seriously? Dude, how do I miss all the good stuff? I'm coming back right now. They're about to give me the coffees. I hope you like almond milk.
It could be goat milk for all I care. I don't even need the coffee now. Just get your ass back over here. I heard Alan whisper,
Thanks.
Probably to the barista handing him the coffees. Then I heard the familiar beep 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 of a call that had just ended. I practically tossed my phone down onto the table next to me so I could keep looking into the viewfinder. There was no way I was going to miss anything now. This discovery is the greatest discovery since ever. Our understanding of the universe as we know it is going to be turned completely upside down when we finally share these findings with the world. First things first, though, I need to document what's going on. So I turned on my audio recorder and began dictating. I don't know how to put this any other way, but I just witnessed myself on Earth 2 driving the exact same make and model car as I drive here. Then I witnessed my other self walking across the street into the same observatory I'm currently sitting in. He looks almost exactly the same as me, and he even walks with the same gait as me. One difference, however, is that I noticed he seems to be dressed a bit nicer than me, almost more formal clothing than I usually wear. Currently, he is in the observatory and I have lost visual contact, but I've zoomed out to keep the entire observatory in view in case he leaves again so I can make visual contact once again. I clicked off the recorder and set it down on the table next to me. Then I noticed something unusual. It seems that the observatory dome that houses the telescope, or televisuscope if he's also built one there, is rotating and beginning to slide open. What the... I whisper silently to myself in confusion. It's daytime for the other me on Earth too, so there's no reason I can think of that would require opening the dome right now. In fact, I make a concerted effort to keep my observatory's dome closed at all times during daylight and only open it during complete darkness. The televisuscope is so powerful that I worry about the optical sensors getting damaged if any direct sunlight were to enter its lens. Even so, I can see that the observatory on Earth 2 is definitely beginning to slide open. I can't believe my luck! I'll get a full view of the inside of the observatory over there in daylight. I pump my fist down in celebration of this turn of events and can feel my smile widen to reach my eyes. The suspense is palpable as the dome slides slowly open. But after a few moments, I begin to see a televisuscope! So he has built one too. I wonder if he's discovered our Earth then. Suddenly, I hear the door swing open and footsteps come running inside.
All right, man, I made it! What'd I miss?
Alan shouted excitedly, almost sliding up to the table next to me as he set our coffees down.
You're just in time for the real action, my dude,
I say triumphantly, while also chuckling at my surfer-like remark. Then press the controls to put the image onto a bigger screen next to us so Alan can see as well. Alan rolls his computer chair quickly over next to me, and then our eyes become glued to the scene before us on the large screen. Without looking away from the screen, I reach my right hand over to Alan and we fist bump, without his eyes leaving the screen either.
Whoa, what's he doing, man? Why is he opening the dome? It's daytime there right now.
Alan questioned, curiously, just like I had. Then, as the dome finishes opening up all the way, we both see the other me walk into view, now wearing a white lab coat with only his black tie visible near the top of the lab coat. The silence between us is broken by audible gasps between us. He seemed to abruptly stop as he walked toward the televisuscope, however, as if he had been surprised by something or had a sudden realization. Slowly, he craned his head backward until he was looking straight up at us. It couldn't be, but it seemed like he was making eye contact with us. What in the... I said aloud as Alan simultaneously said, "Holy shark bait!" We were both stunned.
Bro, is he looking at us?
Alan asked, with his mouth hanging open in utter astonishment. I don't know how that's possible, but yeah, it sure does look like that, I responded with just as much astonishment in my voice. Suddenly, the other me turned and ran hurriedly out of sight. Alan and I both turned and looked at each other, both of our mouths hanging wide open. Then we turned back to the screen quickly as we saw the other me begin rolling something out into the open. What is that, I wondered.
It looks like a whiteboard, dude,
Alan responded, slightly surprising me, since I didn't even realize I had wondered my question out loud. Yeah, it kinda does, doesn't it? The other me grabbed a dry erase marker from the holder attached to the whiteboard and began frantically writing something on it. As I watched this, I felt a shiver shoot down my spine from the top of my head, and the hair on my arms seemingly stood straight up. Something is off about this, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Leaning forward to squint at the screen, I reached over and tapped on the controls to make the screen zoom in closer so I could try to see what he was writing, but with the angle, it was impossible to tell. To my surprise, when the other me stopped writing, I saw him remove the locking pins on either side of the whiteboard, then turn it flat so the white writing surface was facing straight up toward Alan and I. We both gasped again. The other me stood next to the whiteboard, looking straight up at us once again, and he pointed to what was written. I knew this day would come eventually, though I hoped it never would. You have many questions, undoubtedly, but you won't like the answers. I'll tell you only what you need to know, but you must heed my warning. You have no idea how much danger we are in. As Alan and I stared at the screen in front of us, mouths hanging open and eyes wide, there was nothing but stunned silence between us. We couldn't help but continue staring at the screen as my other self stared right back at us, still pointing at the message written on the whiteboard with a solemn look on his face. Then he flipped the whiteboard back down to face him, and he furiously erased the message, then started writing once again. Alan and I both shared a quick glance at each other, but there was nothing to be said. This was just too strange, too unreal. I couldn't believe that this was even happening in the first place, but I couldn't help feeling a sense of awe and genuine surprise that it had been written clearly in English. I mean, it would make sense if it's another timeline, but even so, any number of things could have happened throughout their history that could possibly have led to English not being the language used there. Before I could let my mind wander any further, I noticed that my other self was disengaging the locks on either side of the whiteboard again and flipped it back up to face us. He stood there solemnly, pointing at the message which read, I fear it may already be too late to save us, but you need to understand the danger in order to understand why it's absolutely imperative that you never tell anyone about your discovery of our Earth, if we are to stand a chance. What I'm about to tell you may seem unbelievable, but I assure you it's true, and you must listen to my warning. I felt a lump in my throat, and I swallowed dryly, making a loud gulping sound. What the hell is going on? This is insane, I thought to myself. Just then, Alan turned to face me, and I heard a nervous chuckle come from him before he said,
Are you buying this, dude? This is crazy. I feel like I'm watching a movie or something.
I know what you mean. Well, I don't know what it is, but it's weird to say the least. Let's find out what he has to say first, I responded, the nervousness clearly being heard in my nearly shaking voice. Turning back to face the screen, my other self flipped the whiteboard back up to face us yet again. Our collective sapient human consciousness is what shapes and holds the galaxies together. There is no time to explain my research, but you must believe me when I tell you that it's our collective consciousness that keeps our galaxies rotating, and it's what keeps everything in the galaxy orbiting and spinning in harmony. Our individual human consciousnesses are what cause the gravity of stars and what determines the orbits of their planets. At first, I almost felt embarrassed, as if I had just discovered that this other me was crazy and mentally deluded. Then I had a sudden flashback to my dream of being inside of a familiar feeling star, and the hair on my arms and the back of my neck stood straight up once again as a cold shiver shot down my spine. It's all too strange, like a bad science fiction novel, and I feel that it can't be real, but at the same time, I can't deny the strange feeling in my mind that there is some truth to this, and my body is reacting in response to it. I gulp once again, and I can hardly take it as I wait for him to finish writing the next message. Non-sapient consciousness, such as animal and plant life, seems to be what causes the gravity and rotation of the planets orbiting the stars governed by our sapient consciousness. What we, and I assume you, have always thought of as galaxies are actually different threads of the same universe, and what we have thought of as the universe is actually the multiverse. My mind is reeling now, and I know Alan's must be too, given his silence matching my own. We both await the next message anxiously, leaning forward in our seats and staring intently at the screen. Suddenly, a passage flows through my mind from the Bible of the stars being for signs and for seasons, and I remember I had always wondered about what it meant by signs. Now, a revelation begins to form in my mind, a revelation of all the lessons about praying, about meditation, about the law of attraction, and more. It all makes so much sense if what he is telling us is true. Why would everyone be so drawn to these ideals for millennia if there wasn't some kind of substance to their claims? If our consciousness is what creates the orbits of the things around us in our lives, then the saying, as above, so below, also makes so much sense. I can feel my head beginning to spin with the force of all of these revelations moving through me. When my other self finishes writing the next message and flips the board back up to face us. The danger arises from the fact that we aren't meant to interact with these other universe threads, or even know about them for that matter. You see, when two of the same conscious become aware of each other in different universes, such as you and I, these universes, or galaxies, are inexorably pulled together at an increasing pace. This leads to a universal scale cataclysm of collision and destruction. The sentiment isn't lost on me. It's true. Andromeda and the Milky Way are moving toward each other, and we've known this for decades thanks to the discovery of the redshift Edwin Hubble discovered that astronomers use for detecting the direction of movement of stars and galaxies. In fact, since 2012, we've known for sure that Andromeda and the Milky Way are going to collide. However, it isn't predicted to happen for 4.5 billion years. Should we really be worried about something that will happen that far in the future? Will humanity even still be around then? Once again, before I can get lost too deeply in thought, my other self finishes writing the next message and flips the whiteboard back up to face us. Our predictions showed a guaranteed collision in about 4.5 billion years. But my equations predict that is accurate only if it was just myself aware of you. Now that you're aware of me too, you can exponentially increase the prediction. Each person, each new human consciousness that becomes aware of us, of you, continues to exponentially increase this prediction. If the whole Earth becomes aware, it's only a matter of months before a collision. Suddenly, I can feel a dropping sensation in my stomach, like being at the top of a roller coaster and about to coast straight down. This time, I turn to look at Alan and gauge his expression. But that's when I notice his complexion is completely pale. Alan, are you alright? I asked, concerned.
Yeah, dude. I think I need some water. This is a lot to take in.
He responded shakily as he stood up and walked to the fridge across the room. I watch him walk across the room, open the fridge and grab a water bottle, take several swigs of the water, then pour the rest of the bottle all over his head and take in a cold gasp. Actually, It starts to seem like a good idea to grab some water and do the same thing as Alan. But before I can get up, I see my other self finishing a much shorter message and flipping the whiteboard back up to face us once again. Please, I beg you, do not tell anyone about your discovery. I know, it will be the hardest thing you've ever done, but humanity in more than one universe is counting on your vow of silence. Will you keep this secret and spare humanity for at least another billion years? My predictions now have us on a collision course in 1.02 billion years, if you can keep this secret. The wind is completely sucked out of my lungs now, and I can't seem to find the energy to take in a breath. My head is spinning as I feel an enormous weight of responsibility on my shoulders. It's not just on my shoulders, I realize. It's also on Alan's shoulders, because it's also up to him not to share this secret. We have to talk amongst each other and decide what we're to do with this newfound knowledge, as insane as it seems to be. We can either share this amazing discovery of what we now know to be true of the universe, or multiverse, if what my other self says is true, and it does have the ring of truth to it. Or we can keep this secret, which is quite literally larger than life, and spare life on Earth for at least another billion years of existence. What would you do? Hi, fellow dreamers. Thanks for listening and joining the Dreamy Man on his journey through this dream. Please do him a favor by liking and subscribing with that little notification bell so you'll be notified every time he falls asleep and starts dreaming again. See you next time, and may all of your dreams come true.